Welcome! Thanks for taking a few minutes to learn about installing R365. Today we'll be talking about the pre-pour phase, which includes installation of the corners, coping, polymer box, riser, and flush lid. Let's get started. The first step is gathering your materials. Check to make sure you have 6 total boxes. In the boxes you'll find corners, the lid, lid end and risers, coping, the polymer box support brackets, lid brackets, and the polymer box. You'll need the following tools: a box knife, cordless drill with an 11/64 inch drill bit, chop saw, hammer, 7/16 and 9/16 inch wrenches, and a 12-inch torpedo level. Step 1. Laying out the coping and retainer. Begin with the corners. You'll have 2 mechanism end corners that will have coping and wall caps. The opposite end corners are coping only. Lay them in place, ensuring that the bead receiver lip is against the inside surface of the wall. Fasten both opposite end corners to the wall flange with 1-inch screws, beginning 1 inch from each end on the line and approximately every 16 inches in between. Repeat those steps with the mechanism end corners. Once your corners are secured, place the straight pieces of coping along the sides. Measure for length and cut them with your chop saw. Fasten each piece with 1-inch screws every 16 inches. Wherever your pieces of coping meet, install a coping clip by hooking it onto the back of the coping, evenly straddling the splice and pushing down until it clicks and lies flat on the coping. Please note, for best results, clips should be equal on both sides of the pool, and you should caulk or tape the back side of the coping to prevent leakage. Measure the gap that remains between the mechanism end corners and cut a straight piece of wall cap to fit. Fasten the wall cap to the wall flange with 1-inch screws, again starting 1 inch from each edge and every 16 inches in between. Step 2. Installing the polymer box. Install the steel box support brackets to the side of the wall seams, 14 inches from the top of the pool, using the hardware supplied. You will first use the motor end box section, which is the 6-foot section with the pre-installed box end and the pre-drilled 4-inch hole. You will next use the 2 identical 6-foot sections, and your last section will vary based on the width of the pool. Locate the motor end box section. Align the mark on it with the interior edge of the coping, on whichever end you plan to put the motor. Begin to assemble the pieces of the polymer box onto the lip of the wall cap by sliding them into place. Ensure even spacing from side to side between the polymer box rail and the wall cap. Again, starting 1 inch from the end, drill an 11/64 inch pilot hole through the aluminum box rail and wall cap and fasten with a 1-inch screw. Repeat at the other end and space fasteners every 16 to 18 inches between. For best results, drill the pilot hole at a 10-degree angle. Slide box spacers into channels inside the box rails. Slide the next box section onto the wall cap. Join the box sections with splicers and tighten the bolts to secure them. Repeat this process every 16 to 18 inches, nesting each section into the flared end of the previous piece. After you've installed the last box section, install a spring nut into the back of the box rail above each box support bracket and attach the vertical support. Level the box and tighten the support hardware. Step 3. Riser installation. The riser system consists of the following: a 32-inch mechanism end riser, an 8-inch opposite end riser, 2 straight pieces, and 2 riser end plates. Place the mechanism end riser on the front side of the polymer box on the motor end. It will nest into the top aluminum rail. Place the 8-inch riser in the same manner on the opposite end. Fasten both risers to the outside of the coping by inserting 1-inch screws through the pre-drilled holes into the channels in the riser. Fasten the riser end plate to the mechanism end of the riser into the channels with 1-inch screws using the pre-drilled holes in the plate. Place a full-length piece of the riser on top of the aluminum rail on the back side of the box so that the riser end plate forms a 90-degree angle to both the front and back riser sections. Secure the end plate with 1/2-inch screws through the pre-drilled holes. Fasten the full-length piece in place with 1/2-inch screws, again 1 inch from both ends and every 16 to 18 inches in between. Ensuring 90-degree angles, Measure and cut the last piece of the riser with your chop saw. Set in place and attach the remaining end plate to the riser through the pre-drilled holes. Fasten with 1/2-inch screws every 16 to 18 inches. Step 4. Installing the lid. The lid system consists of the lid brackets, the lid end, and the lid itself. Install the lid brackets in the riser in the back end of the box, evenly spaced with the width of the track. Please note that placing one bracket across the butt joint of the riser pieces will help keep the pieces firmly aligned. Level all the lid brackets. To ensure that the polymer box keeps its form while the concrete is being poured, insert the box supports into the top rails of the box. Add spacers for additional support prior to placing the lid. Place the lid on the riser. Do not cut the main lid. Measure the remaining space for the mechanism end lid and trim accordingly. Install and level the mechanism end lid, and finally, check that the box is properly leveled. To ensure the lid is not damaged during concrete pouring, flip the lid upside down after installation. You have now successfully completed the pre-pour portion of the 365 installation. Should you have any additional questions, please give us a call Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 800-878-5789 and ask for technical support. Thanks again from all of us at Automatic Pool Covers.